Good morning, my dear students. I hope you all are well and safe at home. So, here I am with my lecture number 21 of Commercial Studies, class 9th. So, in this video, we shall be discussing about chapter number 7, that is Joint Stock Company. There's already I have made one part about this chapter, and in this video I shall be covering the remaining parts of this chapter. Students, in the previous video I have explained you the meaning of joint stock company, its features, and one difference between partnership and joint stock company. Hope you have got that concept. So let's proceed to our topic number 1 of this video. Now, in this topic, first we are going to study about the merits of a joint stock company. We have already discussed the features of joint stock company, and now we are going to discuss about the merits. Merits means the advantages. Merits means the advantages of joint stock company. Now, first advantage, and the students remember that for every topic, whether it can be features, merits or demerits, you have to write minimum 5 points. Minimum of 5 points should be written in your answer. So first point is large capital resources. Now, first advantage of joint stock company is that they have the capacity to arrange the larger capital resources. Now let's understand what is this. A joint stock company has a widespread appeal to investors of all the type, and its capital is divided into shares of small denominations so that the people with limited means can also buy them. Or I have already told you the meaning of share. Now, what was share? I have explained you that the total capital of the company is divided into small parts, and these parts are known as share. These parts are known as share. The total capital of the company is divided into small parts so that the people with the limited means, people with the not so rich community can also buy them, and hence a public company is in a position to raise a large amount of capital from many investors at the same time, because since its capital is divided into small shares, and hence joint stock company is in a position to arrange its capital from many investors at a time, and hence they have the capacity to arrange larger capital resources, many investors just at the same time. So they are in position to arrange larger capital resources because their capital is being divided into small shares, which the middle class people can easily afford it, and thus they are able to raise the money from many investors at the same time. I hope so you have got this point. Now, second point is limited liability. This I have already told you in the characteristics also that the liability of the members in the joint stock company is limited. And to what extent it is limited? Limited to the face value of the shares held by them. Their liability is limited to the extent of holding the face value of the shares. How much value they are holding, how much value of shares they are holding with them, just to that extent only their liability is limited. Beyond that, they will not be responsible for any debts of the company, and their personal property cannot be attached if the company is unable to meet its debts. Just to that extent to which their face value of the shares are, they will contribute the money, but beyond that, if the company is unable to meet its debts, they will not be held responsible, and their personal property, whether it can be cash, jewelry, bank balance, it will not be contributed in paying the company's loss. They will contribute to that extent till which the face value of the shares they are holding it, but beyond that they are not responsible for anything. So in short, we can say that the members of a joint stock company has a limited liability. So I hope so these 2 points are very much clear to you. Let's proceed to the point number third, continuity of existence. Now we have discussed about sole proprietorship. In sole proprietorship we have discussed that there is no continuity. Once the sole proprietor dies, that business comes to an end. In case of partnership we have read that it, suppose if any partner dies, so it depends on the will of the partners that whether to continue that business or not to continue. And in case of joint stock company, it enjoys uninterrupted existence over a long period of time. Death, insolvency of the members does not threaten its existence. So whether any person dies, whether any person become insolvent, the meaning of insolvency here, students, means that when a person is not able to repay its loan, then the person is declared insolvent. So death, insolvency of the members does not threaten its existence, because a joint stock company is made up of many members. Just it is made up of many members. Like in public company there are unlimited members, there is no limit on the maximum number of members, while in case of private company, the maximum number of members I have already told you, that is 200. 200. So so if one or two-person dies, the company will not come to an end. It will continue over just a long period of time. Thus, the third feature says that it has continuity of existence, means it enjoys uninterrupted existence over a long period of time, because if any person dies or become insolvent, it will the company will not come to an end. So I hope so this feature is clear to you. Now fourth one is transferability of shares. Now as the shares of a public company are listed on the stock exchange, so that a member can easily sell his shares. Now what is stock exchange, students? Stock exchange is a type of market where the shares are bought and sold. Shares or the securities also, you can say. Shares are bought and sold. So the shares of a public company are listed, means shown on the stock exchange, so that, and why they are shown? They are shown so that the member can easily buy and sell his shares. So hence there is a scope for transferability of the shares. Suppose you are no longer wishing to have these shares and you want to sell your shares, so you can easily sell those shares on a stock exchange, and hence we can say that the shares of a public company have the transferability option. So this was the fourth feature. Now coming to fifth feature, efficient management. Another merit of a joint stock company is the efficient management. Now a joint stock company can easily employ high qualified experts in different areas of business. And what is the reason that the joint stock company can employ such qualified experts? Because this is a very large company, they have larger financial resources, and hence they are in a position to employ qualified experts. And when they employ qualified experts, what is the result? It helps in improving the efficiency. So a company can employ high qualified experts in different areas of business because they have larger money, they have larger financial resources, they have more members, and hence they can employ. And after employing, it helps in improving the efficiency of business transactions. So I hope so you this all the merits of the joint stock company are clear to you. We have discussed large capital resources, limited liability, continuity of existence, means that it continues over a long period of time. Transferability, we can transfer the shares. Efficient management, highly qualified experts can be employed, which help in improving the efficiency of business transactions. Now let's proceed to our topic number 2, and in this video I am going to keep it just with merits and demerits of joint stock company only, and rest I am going to cover in my next video. So first demerit of joint stock company is legal formalities. One drawback of joint stock company is that it has too many legal formalities. Formation of a company is time consuming. It cannot be just in case of sole proprietorship. It is very easy to form because no such legal formalities are required. Just in case of partnership also, it is very easy process, because only an agreement contract is required, and rest you can just easily form. And registration of partnership is also not compulsory according to the law. So partnership is also easy to form, but in case of company it is not so easy to form, because too many, it's time consuming, just as well as expensive process. Too many legal formalities have to be observed, and several documents have to be filed. So it is not a very easy process to form a joint stock company. You have to file several documents, you have to observe too many legal formalities, because it is a company formed by law. And when you consider the law, you have to follow steps. You have to follow the formation of a company step by step. You can't just form a company, and that company will be known as illegal company. So for making a company legal, you need to follow all the legal formalities and just file all the documents which are required for the formation. And hence there are too many legal formalities are involved, and it is a time consuming process also. So the next demerit is lack of motivation. Now, another drawback of joint stock company is that it has the members of a joint stock company does not have a very great amount of motivation. They suffer with the lack of motivation. Now, what is the reason? Because the directors and the other officers of the company have little personal involvement in the management of the company, and as a result, the efficiency of business operations may be low. They suffer from the lack of motivation. Why? Because the directors, the and just the officers, the working members of the company have little personal involvement, because the company is not theirs. They are not the owners of the company. And there is some mentality among the people that they will likely to take more initiative if the company was theirs. And just if the company belongs to others, they will only work just for getting the salary, and not beyond that. They are not likely to show any kind of motivation, nor initiative, nor any creativity. Just they are working for getting the good amount of salary, and that's it. So there is a drawback of motivation. They are not directors and other officers are not motivated, because they do not regard the company as theirs company. And hence we can say the efficiency of business transactions may be low. It is not compulsory always, but it may be low to a certain extent. So so I hope so these 2 points are clear to you. Now next, third is delay in decisions. Now, joint stock company, whenever a decision is taken in a sole proprietorship, one can easily take decisions, because there is only one person. Nobody is required to be consulted. Just in case of partnership, the number of members are limited, and hence decision can be taken very quickly. No no delay in decisions. Now in case of joint stock company, decisions can be delayed, because first of all, when a certain decision has to be passed, so a meeting is called, and then a decision, proposal, means offer is put forward. Now offer is being discussed, what are the advantages of the offer and what are the disadvantages of the offer. Then the voting is done, and to pass a decision, just in a voting, two-third of the majority, means the total number of members, just out of the total number of members, there should be two-third of the members who are voting in favor of that offer. So voting is done, and after that decision is passed. So and hence you can see it's a very long process. So obviously it takes time, and thus whatever decision is to be passed, it is delayed. It's often delayed. And often red tape and bureaucracy. Now what is the meaning of red tape and bureaucracy? Red tape is a type of politics which is done in the organization, and bureaucracy means power. Bureaucracy means the power. This often directors, often the top management tries to show the bureaucracy in their passing the decisions, and there is little scope for the personal initiative and sense of responsibility. And hence we can say, since the decision have to be passed to a long stages, so it can be said that it leads in the delaying in the decisions. So I hope so you must have got this point. So let's coming to the point number 4, that is economic oligarchy. The management of a company is supposed to be carried on according to the collective will of the members, but in practice there is a rule by few oligarchy. Now try to understand this point. Just if we talk practically, what should be, suppose the company is made up of 200 members. Company is made up of 200 members, and we also agree that all the members cannot participate in the functioning of the business. Just in case of a country, just in a country, all the members, all the people cannot participate in the functioning, so we elect who? These are ministers. Similarly, in case of company also, all the 200 members cannot participate in the functioning, and hence we appoint board of directors. We appoint board of directors. Now, these board of directors, in practical, what it should be, that board of directors should take the decisions in just in the consultation of 200 members, just, just in consultation with the 200 members. But in practice, but in reality, there is only rule by few. Means the board of directors, when they become board of directors, they will try to impose their power, and they will try to take the decisions without consulting the rest of the 200 members. So there is a rule by few, and which is known as oligarchy. A rule by few is known as oligarchy, and often directors try to mislead the members and manipulate the voting power to maintain their control. They have been made as a board of directors, and hence they consider themselves as superior power, and they do not take the consultation advices from the other members, and they try to manipulate their voting power just to show their superiority. So hence there is also one drawback in a joint stock company, is that it suffers from the economic oligarchy. What it should be, that the board of directors should rule according to the collective will of the members in the consultation of the other members. But in reality, but in practice, there is rule by few people only. Few people means the directors, board of directors. And often directors try to mislead the power, try to mislead the voting power, and try to maintain their control over the other members. So this is a major drawback of a joint stock company. I hope you must have got this point. Now, fifth and the very last point is excessive control. Now, in a joint stock company, there is too much of government interference. We have talked about sole proprietorship. There was no point of government interference. Just in case of partnership also, there was no government interference. But in case of a joint stock company, in case of public and the private company, joint stock company, there is too much of government interference, because companies formed on the basis of law. Legal formalities have to be filed, documents have to be filed with the government, and legal interference in day-to-day operation result in the lack of secrecy. Now, when you are so much involved, when the government is so much involved in your company, you cannot maintain any type of secrets with the government. You have to disclose each and every detail of your business to the government. You cannot hide any fact. You cannot hide any fact just from the government. This is you must be thinking that this must be advantage, but to some extent it can be disadvantage also for a joint stock company, because there are certain details which need to be hide, but they have to disclose but to the government, and hence that results in the lack of secrecy, means they are not in a position to hide the secrets from the government. So I hope so you must have got all the merits and demerits of a joint stock company, and this was the end of this video. and the next part of this video, next part of this chapter would be my next video. And those who haven't seen those videos yet, previous videos yet, kindly first see that. Thank you for watching. Do like and subscribe my channel, and have a nice day, students.